Unmute. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TheCivShow Podcast. We suck, so you don't have to. I'm your host, Moisas.
And here not muted is Nystagmus.
That's right. He's not muted this time around. We got a professional show going on today, folks. It's going to sound real good. Siri, I don't know why you're talking so much, but
yeah, I know.
We're going to continue on with the show anyway. How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's been a kind of tiring week this week, but
yeah.
I think we're going to end it strong come Friday. So
I'm sure after the last session, I don't know about you, but I was drained. I won and I felt drained. I was like, dude, that was a tiring game, right?
I didn't want to be more forced on it because like when we were talking about it, I was like, the whole time I was just like, dude, I'm willing to call this. Like,
I was so tired. I was ready to call it, and then Raising Sosa was like, oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm like, what? Are you kidding?
Yeah, so the only thing that made me like really call it was I was going for the only other victory that was available to me, which was the science victory. And as soon as I saw you already completed the moon mission before I even launched the stupid satellite, I was like, yeah, it's done. I can't. And most of my cities that had the highest production were damaged by the flooding that I couldn't build my flood walls for.
Oh, no.
So one of the downsides of starting on an island, I didn't get my flood barriers up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a grueling match, and got a little bit tired at the end of that Sunday.
I was super tired. Anyway, let's move on to the industry news. All right, so here's the industry news in the world of Civilization this week. Civilization is still free for one more day. If you're watching this podcast live on Twitch, that is twitch.tv/TheCivShow. It is free for one more day on Thursday, so pick it up while you can, and if you haven't already, tell your friends to go get it so that you can ruin all of your friendships at once by taking over all of their cities. You can find the game for free on the Epic Game Store, so sign up for an account and download it today. Just like Mario Party. You know
I've always wondered if Civ is like the Risk of like video games.
It's like the Mario Party. I guess like you know what I mean. Like you move that star away from the dude who's right in front of it. Like your friendship's over. You know what I mean? Like it's done. You're not talking to that guy ever again.
The worst part of Mario Party is when they started giving those bonus stars and you somehow won because like you got all these random arbitrary bonus stars at the end of the game.
Most games won. Most coins collected. Most times you landed on a green square. I'm like, come on, are you serious? Like, you can't even do this anymore.
So moving on, I guess we're digressing a little bit. So also the new Frontier Pass is now available on Mac. So Mac can now join the party. Asper has released a tweet stating that they have released a patch on Steam that allows Mac version to be available. However, there are some reports coming from the comment section that the cross-platform between Mac and PC is still not working properly. There aren't any reports on Linux yet, but hopefully in the near future they'll be able to join the party with the new Frontier Pass. I guess there was always some problems with cross-platform playing sometimes. I guess there must be a lot of moving parts.
I don't know, because a lot of people were complaining. If you're active on Twitter, like if you go on to Twitter, there's a lot of people who were complaining that the Mac version wasn't working. One, I had no idea people were playing on Mac. I know it was available, but I didn't know people actually used it. It blew my mind. And then two, I didn't know that like. I did know that Mac and Windows they had a crossplay, but I didn't know that like this would break it. Like I'm surprised. It's almost like there's two different versions of the game. There's the Windows version and there's the Mac version, and they're not made by the same people. Like Firaxis makes the Windows one, and then Asper ports that Windows one to Mac, which kind of blows my mind.
So it's the port, because I always remember as someone who used to play games on a Mac, and I know that's kind of a that's
I did
faux
too.
pas.
I've been there too.
That was back in my StarCraft 2 days. There was no problem with playing StarCraft 2 on a Mac with Windows. Now, if someone lagged, obviously the other person would say, if you're playing on a Mac, it's all your fault. But it was still like playable. And so I always find it weird, like with the different studios that are involved, when it comes to different games, how the port can, if it's a bad port, it suddenly just breaks the game, right? So I guess that's all about the quality of the port itself.
There are a lot of people who are upset on Twitter. It shocked me that there were that many people who played on Mac or Linux. Not so many people on Linux, and I understand that it's a weird operating system. But a lot of people play on Mac apparently. So hey, now it's available for you. So go ahead and download the new Frontier Pass. I don't know if cross-platform is going to work, but at least you can play the single player. And let me tell you how good Simon Bolivar is in single player. My God, that guy's insane and a ton of fun.
Do not use my performance on Sunday as a meter stick to like actually measure that thing, because that was not a good performance from my me using Simon Bolivar's empire there.
If it was Pangea, 100%, that game would have been so different. So different.
Yeah. I started on an island all by myself. It kind of sucked.
Yeah.
You know what sucks the most though, and it's irrespective of which civilization I was playing. When I can't see what you guys are doing, as in after I meet you, I can actually see like where your science is at, where your culture is at, and all that stuff. Yeah. I don't have a meter, like I don't have a yardstick to measure myself by. And so then sometimes I may sometimes I drive and catch up to you in science because I see that you're running away with it, and I make a concerted effort as opposed to. And you did.
Once you met me, you did catch up in science, which is very impressive.
And so I think like part of like the bigger maps when we only played with the 3 people is someone always gets left out, because they're going to spawn 2 people close to each other, and then the other person's going to kind of spawn by themselves because they're supposed to be next to the other player. And so that kind of leaves that one person out, not meeting anybody until like I think it was well into the classical era that I met you.
It was a while, and then you complained that I settled it on your island and I had no idea. So
whatever. I still stand by that. You knew that was my island.
I didn't know that was your island. I did see your border, but I didn't know if that was like your main land. Like that's legit. And I don't have to lie anymore. Like I'm not gonna lie after the show. You know what I mean? Like
I said I was on an island by myself, and you're like, that's your main land.
It didn't clue in. I'm sorry. Anyway, the last piece of news, not really news, but how are you liking new content of the new Frontier Pass? For me, I played Gran Colombia in single player. They're insane. I played Maya in single player. I didn't go too far into that game, so I'm still kind of on the fence about them. But Zoe stands by their greatness. But how are you liking it? Let us know in the comments right now. Go ahead.
I personally, I'm enjoying it a little bit. I didn't play too much this week. Again, this was a kind of crazy week for me. Trying to get those practice rounds in, especially with Cyrus. Since
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I kind of said something I should say. But regardless, I've been enjoying the new content. Like the new natural disasters are really cool. I still haven't gotten to a game where I basically caused the end of the world yet. And I'm waiting to see what that looks like. Actually, like see that on screen, right?
Because I hear it's pretty crazy.
Good transition into the next section, which is our thoughts on the last Civ shows. So, if you missed the last Civ show, we played on a primordial map on Apocalypse mode, the brand new Apocalypse mode that was introduced in the new Frontier Pass. Basically, it adds comets and it adds solar flares as natural disasters, and they occur when the last bit of global warming happens. So when the very final stage of global warming happens, comets can take out your entire city. It can take out entire districts. It takes out just entire plots of land. And it is very, very, very deadly. We played Gran Colombia, we played Maya, and we played Brazil as the 3-for-all matchup. Brazil ended up taking the victory. That was me for a score/science victory.
We all kind of like conceded that it was you, right?
Yeah, so. I think the only victory I couldn't have gotten was diplomatic, but I think I could have gotten every single other one.
It was pretty dominating performance there. The only thing in the new Apocalypse mode I don't really get yet. I don't know why they did it this way, and I still think it's cool. But when you get those meteor showers, so the meteor showers don't really cause any damage. They might damage like a district. But when you get to like the crash scene, it gives you like a powerful unit. I don't know why they decided to do that, to be honest.
So that's not just in Apocalypse mode. So meteor showers are a regular natural disaster, just like forest fires. So those are the 2 natural disasters that they added that are every game. So I was playing a practice game this week earlier, and there was a meteor shower. And yeah, it was the same thing. You go to the meteor shower, or I learned if you settle a city beside a meteor shower, you also get the unit. But yeah, it just spawns like an additional unit for you, a military unit. Yeah. And I think part of it is that like you discovered this like huge scientific discovery. There's like all these remains. It's supposed to be like an alien, like finding an alien, maybe that kind of thing. I don't know. Is that what it's supposed to be, or like a mutant, maybe like you know what I mean, like a X-Men coming to the ground?
when you mentioned X-Men, I was always feeling like it kind of reminiscent of like finding adamantium or something like that.
That'd be so much cooler if like you found like a
and
superhero in the meteor shower.
or like a metal
Little-
that made your swords like awesome or something.
Yeah,
like that,
like
right?
a buff. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Like I 100% agree with that. So like a superhero, maybe
Honestly,
a little bit broken, but the swords would be
I
cool.
thought a cool thing that they could have done instead of having it spawn a unit is like if it gave you like a strategic resource, like iron.
Right.
Like
yeah.
you just walk up to it and it gave you like a whole bunch of it or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
it just filled your stuff with it. That'd be great.
or it helped you like tech towards iron making or iron working or something like that, which would be really cool. Either way, it's easy to criticize, hard to create, right? So I'm not gonna nail them too hard. It's still a cool little feature they have in the game.
Yeah, no, it is a little neat little feature, and I don't know, it's like it makes sense. It sort of makes like it kind of makes sense that you discover a unit, but then at the same time, it's a little bit ridiculous, and it adds like some RNG into the game that people might not enjoy. Speaking of which, I don't know if you saw the tweet that I tweeted out earlier. I don't think you did know. I didn't really tweet it, but I replied to it, and it was from the Civilization Players League, and they used the Bermuda's Triangle. Right? They had a massive navy. They were talking like 10 to 15 to 20 boats. Massive. All of them moved into the Bermuda Triangle at the exact same time, and he spawned on the flank of his enemy right on his shore. And it was like, how do you even defend it? Like, he wasn't there, now he's here. And so like he used the Bermuda Triangle to completely wipe out this dude, and I felt, it was so bad. Yeah, I commented, I'm like, how do you even defend against this? This is so stupid.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you just use like chance, right? This is like
Right.
a chance thing that can happen. You just decide to try it.
Right, so it's not chance. There is actually like a way to predict where it's gonna go, and the way it's literally the complete opposite of the map. So if you were to imagine the the world was round, for all you flat earthers. Imagine the world is round. I know, crazy, right? And you were to dig straight through the core and onto the other side. That's where the Bermuda Triangle takes you, just straight through to the other side.
Oh, okay. So like what the other side of the sea would be, basically. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That is hard to predict on a flat map, though, wouldn't it?
It is. You kind of need to discover the whole map before you know. But at the same time, I think that guy was like prepared to put one boat in there and see where we ended up. And then he ended up like right on the shoreline. And so he just sent in all the rest of his navy. It was crazy. Off topic though, let's go back into the last show here. Brazil. Brazil is someone that I thought was not good. I did not think they were a good civilization. And then when I read their abilities, I'm like, okay, they sound pretty good. Like, and on paper, they sound pretty good. And then when I played them, you're more like, since you're Brazil, you're more likely to spawn near a rainforest. And their ability is that for every adjacent rainforest on a district, you get +1, right? So you can imagine if you just put it in the middle of a massive rainforest, that's +8, +9 adjacency.
It could be, yeah.
That's like your most ideal scenario. But on average, it's like +3, +4, which is still incredible, right? It's like playing Korea and always having a +4 when you build on mountains. But in this one, it's not just science. It's science and culture and gold and faith and everything. Everything is affected by the Amazon. And I just thought it was like a little broken. I don't know. Like, I was really, really far of science, according to you. I think you were probably playing the right science. The only downside was that you were against Brazil, right?
And it could be broken at the beginning of the game, but as you have to clear rainforest, does the adjacency bonus go away?
Yes, it does. So
Okay.
I was doing my best to not clear rainforest. So I even built Chichen Itza, which gives me +2 culture. Only in that city, not in my entire civilization. Only in that city for every rainforest tile. And then I also took the Pantheon. I read this actually on the Civilpedia. If you take the Pantheon, that gives you +2 faith for every breathtaking tile. Brazil also has the ability where rainforests provide them +1 appeal instead of the regular -1. And so since there are already so many rainforests, all of the appeal on the adjacent tiles just get upgraded like crazy. So if you take that, there's a lot of land in your land that just give you +2 faith for free. it's like you're already going to work that tile. Why not take +2 faith anyway? And that's also why I had like 3,000 faith. Like Brazil is insane. They're an insane economic civilization, which I never realized, right? It's unfortunate that I never used the battleships, but I think I would have, like, I got battleships. You get them with nationalism, which is a civic, and you get them earlier. So I completely passed the ironclad.
You had battleships pretty early,
right? Because I focused on culture, right?
I was still building like frigates and stuff, and you're like, here's a battleship, a special battleship, not like a regular battleship.
Yeah, and it's like stronger too. It's like you get it earlier and it's stronger. So you remember when I had this argument with Zoe about when he was playing Indonesia during our archipelago map? He kept bragging how he can get his frigate earlier, right? Oh, it comes with mercenaries. It comes earlier, but it comes with culture. But it comes earlier. I can get them earlier, right? But then he got them at the same time, and I'm like, why did you completely just negate the whole advantage of getting them earlier? Like, I don't understand. It's like, no, this is exactly what I wanted them. I'm like, but they're not strong anymore. They're just average. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about, like, it wasn't even like Brazil gets the battleships earlier. They have a special battleship, right?
Yeah,
it's like
that's
special, and it looks cool actually. Like the rendering of it looks kind of cool. And then I liked how one of our chatters pointed out the story behind why they're, because even I was confused. I was saying it's weird that Brazil's special unit is a battleship. I don't get the story behind that.
Right.
And
Shout out to Zealous Zam. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about having a chat that kind of comes in, because then I want to learn history. I like to think of myself as someone who likes history. I like to learn new historical stuff that I don't even know before after the game, because like I said, like I thought, it would make sense that like Japan would have a battleship as their special unit because they built the biggest battleship ever.
Okay.
But it's cool that story behind Brazil getting that contract to build battleships, and then they didn't want them anymore, and then they just had them. And so they had a huge navy at that point.
But it also kind of makes you think of like what other units that other civilizations could have had, right? So I know, for example, since I only really know Canadian history because I'm not a history nerd, but I'm slowly starting to like understand and like learn new history as I play the Civilization and partake in the Civ show. But the artillery, right? What if Canada had a special artillery because of the creeping barrage in World War I, right? With Vimy Ridge. So, obviously the Mountie is the first thing that comes to mind when you think of Canada. Yeah, I get it, right? And like, the samurai is the first thing that comes to mind with Japan, right?
But to be fair, and this is something that's not fair to Canada, right? Like the Mountie is not a military unit.
It's not it's police.
Right? It's basically, it would be equivalent to our American fans out there. It would be equivalent to like having an FBI agent as like your special unit as America. Like it would be like Mulder and Scully. That's your special unit for Civilization. They could have given us like, I don't know, like the classic one I would think in Canada that has a national story behind it and has like a national precedence would be a special airplane like the Avro Arrow.
Snowbirds as well,
right?
Yeah.
And so that's something that I know we're kind of digressing now, but that's just something that came to my thought because the Mountie, and like that's not a military unit. It's kind of weird, but
if you want to come back on topic, then how did Gran Colombia feel when you? I know you're on your own island, and that kind of sucked. But where did you think you missed your timing, and where do you think you could have gone better?
Honestly, I think the thing that messed me up. So one is, remember I told you guys that like I lost my first settler.
Right.
My first settler got killed.
That's so unfortunate.
That was like devastating. It was devastating because not only did it kill my settler, the storm hit the city. So the settler moved next to my capital, right? And then the storm hit it. It killed the settler, and then it decreased the population of my capital city, so that I couldn't build another settler right away. And so I had to wait until it got more population. So that literally put me like 15 turns behind when it came to like spreading. I didn't think it was a big deal because like, oh, I'm on an island by myself probably, so this will all even out in the end. And then like technically speaking, I think if that didn't happen, I don't think there would have been space for you to put a city on my island.
Maybe
I would have probably taken it before you had a chance to.
Then I definitely would have known that was your island, and I wouldn't have put it there. I would have went somewhere else for sure.
The only issue that I think that put a handicap on mine is that happened, and then I just don't think I picked good spots for my next two cities. I think I tilted a little bit. I went on tilt.
Yeah.
I just said, oh, I'm going to get a city. I don't care where the city goes. I'm just going to put the city down. And I think I chose like one city. My second city was the one that flooded with the flood barriers. I didn't think about that. It wasn't the greatest place to put a city, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it was one of my highest production cities by the time the floods came. And the floods destroyed my campus and my industrial sector on that city.
The floods, man.
And so
even when you play multiplayer, then none of us built. I don't even think you built coal power plants at that point. I'm not sure, but I didn't, and Zoe didn't, and it still flooded just because my battleships and Zoe's ironclads. It eventually accumulated over so much time that it just eventually was like, all right, pollution. We never got to the final stage though, so I'm kind of disappointed in. And I'm kind of disappointed that you guys didn't push it to the final stage to handicap me, right? So I was winning, honestly, and I was clearly in the lead. If one of those comments hit me, it would really hurt. Like it would have hurt you guys too, but I think it would have hurt me more, right? Especially in my space race victory.
And I would be curious to know if the game kind of does it to the leader more. Like the person who's winning?
I think so.
Or it might just be random. But
I think it's completely random, yeah.
Yeah, we probably should have done that in hindsight. Hindsight's 2020. But yeah, I think that was the biggest. I think that was the most critical. I didn't talk about it a lot when it happened because I was pretty upset that it did. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to make like a big thing about it. I just wanted to play the game and have fun. But and that's probably why I reacted so strongly when you put the city on my island. Because I was like, this happened to me, and then I only built like 3 cities. You guys had like a whole bunch. I knew you guys had a whole bunch. Dude. And then I saw your city on my thing. I was like, damn it, man, I can't even have my own island now.
If I knew that was your own island, I wouldn't have done it. Like I swear to God, I wouldn't have done it. But I thought I was like, oh, there's room here, right? Like and whatever. So I'm like, I'll just settle here because there's a bunch of other little islands north of there that I could have gone to. And like I was planning to, but I'm like, I'll just go here, whatever, right? And then you're just like, get the freak off my island! How dare you come to this land? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Whoa.
And then because militarily wise, like we had to get to the industrial era first, and we did. And I made my Lineros and all that stuff. But then with your battleships on that side, I just had nowhere to attack you from. Like I can't. If I did, it would have just basically been, suiciding my Lineros into your battleships.
It would have, 100%.
And there was nowhere for me to cross. And then the other side, if I went the other way, which was what I started doing near the end of the game, you know how I told you I was like behind in cities, and then all I did was I pushed.
Yeah.
I built like a bunch of settlers, and I went up to 8 cities within like a few turns.
Right.
I went the other way, but there was nobody that way. Like Zoe was like really far away that way. And so I just didn't have opportunity to push my advantage that way. Yeah. And it's also ended up being kind of like an archipelago map, and my special unit's not a naval unit.
Yeah. That's where I think you and Zoe had a downfall, is that like there were small islands. So he never had an opportunity for his like epicenter, his capital, to like really take effect. He had to settle so far away. And so it was like unfortunate for both of you that both of you couldn't shine. Like I definitely think that Maya and Colombia needs to be played again, and I think it needs to be on a different map, because like islands is cool, but when a civilization revolves around the map type so heavily, it really sucks when you don't get that advantage. Like you need to build boats in order for your horsemen to even get over across to the other side. Or for Zoe, his capital city was on the coast, so like you have to go to the other side of the sea to even settle another city. Like what are you gonna do? Waste 7 turns to move closer to the middle where
I actually felt worse for him. Yeah, I felt worse for him because like settling your cities farther away actively hurt him too, right? Like it wasn't like you don't get a bonus. It's like, no, actually, if you don't do this, we're gonna hurt you if you don't do this.
It's still better than 0% production. 75% or 85% production is still better than 0% production. So you gotta do it. You gotta do it.
Yeah, so I think that's where like the wheels fell off for me. Was like early on, I felt like I've dug myself into a hole, and if I was like on the same like tier as you guys, I probably may have been able to dig myself out, but I'm still not. Like I know you guys say I'm improving, but I'm still not as good as you guys are at this game. So
You're improving very quickly though, and so I think you'll start to learn like the cards that match together really well and what scenario. That's kind of like the important thing of getting from the beginning of the game to the mid game as quick as you can. Is just matching those correct cards to get you there fast, right? Anyway, let's take a little bit of a break. We're gonna go into the civilization tier list right after the break. So stay tuned, and you'll know which civilizations are the best and which are the worst on the Civ Show. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to the Civ Show Podcast. Remember, we suck, so you don't have to. I'm Moisauce.
This is Nystagmus.
And we're still without Raising Zozo, but we're hoping he will join us in the middle of this segment, which is the civilization tier list. What we're going to be doing in this section of the show is we're going to be ranking all of the civilization leaders in order of greatness. We have S tier as the best, the very top, the cream of the crop. And then we have all the way down to F tier. So S, A, B, C, D, F. F tier being you shouldn't play this even if your mama paid you $500. So that's the rank of cream of the crop. Can't pay me $500. We're going to be starting with the civilizations that we just played in the last version of the Civ Show. And that is going to be, I'm going to single them out here. It is going to be Maya. I'm going to put her down here. Lady Six Sky. Is going to be Gran Colombia or Simon Bolivar. I'm going to put him down here as well. And the Brazilian Empire, which is Pedro II, which he has a really, really long name because Spanish people like to keep the last name of every single the mom's last name of for on and on and on and on. So they have really long last names or really long names, but simply Pedro II. Why don't you start with Simon Bolivar?
I think this is probably the easiest one, right? Yeah. So at the moment, all evidence suggests that Bolivar has an S tier capability. So I easily put him up here, mainly just because of all the extra +1 movement is the big thing. Like that's in of itself very, very good. I
100% agree that is probably one of their most desirable traits.
And then really, I know we didn't get to see, again, don't use my performance in the last game as any indication. The Lineros, when I played single player with him, are extremely powerful, along with those free generals that you get, militarily wise. I had Lineros killing tanks, right? That's just what was going on.
I think cavalry is I think the next unit is the tank, right? And so with the upgrades,
they were still killing something above it, and that was granted. Yeah. But because you get so many of those free generals, you can stack them so easily. So you move your army with the generals behind the army, and basically allows you to have and the adjacency bonus for the Lineros stacks as well.
Man, so, you can get some crazy bonus combat strength with those things.
It was bad. I was up against the computer, and I basically killed an entire army, and I didn't lose a single Linero. Mainly also because I retired one of the generals and we healed them all. And so just all of that together plus one movement, and then the tile space. I know we didn't get a good view of it when we played on Sunday. But when I was playing the computer, it's a Swiss Army knife. It gives you production, gives you food, and it's under the right conditions.
Oh, the hacienda?
It gives you gold.
Right.
Yeah, the hacienda.
Right. Yeah.
And so every aspect of what Simon Bolivar can bring to the table is useful. And it's useful in multiple scenarios. So it's not like you get one thing that's only good for culture or only good for science or something like that. It's good militarily, and then his hacienda is good for building up a good economy in almost any situation. So I think at the moment, all evidence points to Simon Bolivar being S tier.
So where does his weakness lie? Where do you think he's the weakest? How do you beat? Yeah, early game, right?
Early game. Yeah.
I would agree with you. Welcome, Zoe, Raising Zozo. How you doing, buddy?
I am here. I made it.
You did. You made it. Congratulations, bud. You did it. So we just ranked Simon Bolivar in our tier list. I think we both agree that he belongs in the S tier. If you were to go into Discord, you'll see the link. I don't see you looking at this page when you have a chance. But while you're doing that, I guess I will take the next one into ranking Pedro II, Brazil. So they're very strong economy-wise, growth-wise. You know, their adjacency bonuses for all of the rainforest is insane, like absolutely insane. Their battleships are also insane. They have this weakness early game as well, and I don't know. It's tough to kind of rank them because I want to put them like up there, you know, but then I also find it hard because they're so dependent on being near a rainforest. So I imagine like their first few cities might be good, but the rest of them might not be okay. So I think because of the dependency on the map, I can't put them as S tier because there's an odds that you either one, don't spawn near a lot of rainforest, or two, there's just not a lot of rainforest on your map. And so I because of the dependency on the map, I need to put them at A. I'm gonna put them at A. They're good. They're a very good civilization. However, they have their flaws, and their flaws is that they're just so dependent on where they spawn. Is that agree or disagree with you guys?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
No,
Yeah.
It's A. No
Like
arguments.
I find that rainforest is common enough.
It is right, but it's
yeah,
just like, is it, you know, is your spot good enough? Like I happen to have a really good spot during our last session.
Right.
The thing is that the adjacency bonus applies to multiple forms. So if the adjacency bonus was only to science, I would probably put them more in like a B tier. But because the adjacency bonus can apply to many different aspects, I agree that A tier would be more appropriate. Just because you don't have to hyper focus the game, right?
But they can get slaughtered early on. They like, if you just like Simon Bolivar. But at least Simon has like that +1 movement to kind of like give them a little bit of an advantage throughout the entire game. Brazil has nothing. They have, I guess, the plus whatever science to try to get ahead in science really fast, or the plus whatever in culture or gold. But they're very, very vulnerable early game, 100%. So let's move on to Maya. So what do you think? This is going to be an interesting one because I feel like there might be a lot of argument here. I know that you didn't spawn in the most ideal spot the last game, but where would you rank Maya in this leader tier list?
I still think they're an A tier. I wouldn't say that they're the top, but you
can click and drag, by the way. You can click and drag as you say they are the A tier.
I think they're going to end up unanimously being A tier. As we move forward, let me just grab.
There you go.
While the plantation bonus is big, I think the farming, like, I was able to pull off pretty well, and I felt that last game, like, even without the plantations, I was still holding strong. If I'd had them, it would have been much better. Their cities just get really big, though. Between an aqueduct and like 6 farms is like 12 right there. 12.
That is a lot of housing.
And that's 6 plots of land, right? So I think that their overall use, like, I look forward to using them again when I actually do get more of their bonuses, like especially their towns getting adjacency. Like if you start beside a luxury resource, you get an extra amenity. So amenities and big cities go hand in hand. So they have all the opportunities they need to make big cities and then also keep them happy. The low cost of the science district, the observatory.
You mean like the production cost?
Yeah, it's half price.
Yeah,
so you're pretty much every city easily can have them. I think that initial, you're pretty much guaranteed a golden age in the classical era. If you play that right between the various options that a golden age would get you, because it's just so easy to do. Like, because you're gonna build your observatory right away. That's 4. You're gonna build an archer right away. That's 4. And so far, every time I've been them, I found that like I get a golden age right off the bat. So I don't know. I think that they just offer this consistency. The type of game you're going to play with them isn't one of conquest. You're going to play more of a defensive game with large cities.
But
so
would you not put them in why are they A versus like a B tier? So like they sound like they're also very dependent on map, but I think like more so than Brazil.
I just felt that they're still really good in late game. So like that initial bonus is most of their bonuses start early. But sometimes, an early bonus can make a big difference over the course of the stack of turns. So I don't know. I just the games I've played with them, because you end up with this tight empire and all your cities are like really big. I feel that they're good through and through. And if you get plantations, which are very common. That was a freak thing that I didn't get any.
That was
They're
weird.
very common.
So I guess like
very
way
common.
that we can also approach this is when we look at a civilization, put them into a tier, right? How many victory paths do they have, right? So like for example, for the Maya, because of it's not like you don't get a bonus if you expand past that kind of circle you have. You actively get hurt for doing so. Now, that may mean that domination victory is not exactly in the cards for the Maya. And that means you can't do it, but it's not how the civilization is geared, right? And so we know that they're geared more for a sit and stay, and that means usually a religious, cultural, or scientific victory.
More cultural. Religious, you need to have a military, because you need to have your religion spread to other cities. And in order to do that, no one's going to let you do that for free. You need to move them in with military. So it's kind of like hand in hand.
But you don't need to take over cities to do that.
No, you're right.
Right?
You're right.
So nothing precludes them from building a strong military. It precludes them from expanding and taking cities. And so, in fact, you don't want to do that all the time with a religious victory. You just want to be able to move them in with military to protect the religious units until they can convert the cities. Right? You don't need to take the city to convert it.
Okay, fair.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I feel like their only path to religious victory, or not their only, I guess, but like it's got to be early game. Like it has to be early enough where their special units still effective.
Like Zoe said, though, they can build these massive cities, and the bigger the city is, the more religious pressure it can exert on its surroundings.
Yeah, I found that while their bonuses don't necessarily necessitate a good religion civilization, exactly that, you end up having these big cities with big pressure. So you kind of do have to force religion in, but when you do it, like I found that my faith was rather high. I ended up taking the route that I could use my faith to build units.
Right.
But yeah, because you end up, like, I was drawn to having a religion because I wanted the building bonus. I wanted to have the extra housing and the extra amenities that the temple and church could do. So there was an incentive to do that. In my larger cities, that's like, plus 2 housing and amenities and what have you. So the religion really adds to it. And because you end up having large cities, you can build, like I had like 3 cities where I had like pretty much every district. Like I had like districts to spare at one point, because the population is so high. So I don't know. I think because of that population, it gives them versatility, and it makes it so that they're going into the later game. They're still really, really good.
So Bully,
I gotta play them a bit more, but
Bully for you from the chat says Maya is so consistent that it makes it hard not to snowball, even with hilly spawns.
Yeah. Like so far every game I've had with them, I would agree that they're consistent, and it's icing on the cake if you get the plantation. Bonus,
okay,
but I don't think it's necessary.
Cool. Okay, so I guess we can leave them at A tier. I don't disagree, but this list will be changing forever. You know what I mean? We're always going to be adjusting as we keep playing these civilizations and we keep playing throughout the Civ show. Definitely this tier list will change. This is just our first impressions on these civilizations. So let's move on to one that I think we're all familiar with. I'm going to put it at the bottom so we can all see it, and that is Germany. So we're all familiar with what Germany does. If you're not familiar with them, they get +1 district, no matter what their population is. They can always build one district more than their population. They also have +5 combat strength to city-states, and their special unit is the U-boat, which is a very powerful naval boat they get in the industrial era, question mark?
I think it might be the industrial era, yeah.
Sure, we'll say the industrial
Yeah.
era. So, all that considered, where would you rank Germany, Frederick Barbarossa?
I think they're
hands
very.
up. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think they're a solid. Like when it gets that production, that extra district is great, and that unit gives you great production, which puts you towards being able to build a strong military if you need to, being able to build, helps you definitely with the science victory because it takes a lot of production to build the spaceports and all that stuff, right? And so it does gear you up to that. I think they're a solid A tier. I don't know if they have enough of an advantage. I don't think their special unit is all that. It's a powerful sub, but like it's only useful in specific situations. Whereas, you have other civilizations that have units that are they have utility in almost every game. Whereas you can play a game with Germany where you don't build a single U-boat, right? Like you don't need to do it.
There's a lot of games where I don't build boats. Yeah,
right.
That's very true.
So I think that's the knock I would give against them, which is their special unit, isn't really all that utilitous all the time. And so I give them a solid A tier, mainly because of their extra district. Their special district gives them a lot of production. You need a lot of production to do almost everything. So, big military, you can do a domination victory, science victory for the production for the spaceports, or you can even do the cultural victory because you can use all that extra production to, build all the
wonders,
cultural artifacts and wonders and stuff that you need for tourism. And so that's where I put them in there. They have many avenues for victory, not just one, and they can do them all fairly well.
That's weird because every list that I look at puts them at S tier.
I think they're S tier too. Yeah.
And I think they're S tier too. Like it's kind of I guess it's always like what qualifies as S tier, right?
What I would counter for Nystagmus's position with a U-boat is it is kind of a garbage unit, and I think that civilizations that have very powerful buildings or other power, like that, the other stuff that they do is really powerful. Mm-hmm. They end up getting a garbage unit, which is the unit itself is not as important.
And maybe the way that we can like hammer this out is what do we expect each of the like for me, this is how I organize it in my head. A and S tier, the only difference between those two for me is I like to put civilizations in the S tier that literally every single thing they're given has utility every single game, right? Like almost
like
always.
It meshes well. Like
right?
their kit kind of like flows well together, and it's consistent. Every game is good, kind of thing.
So like I think Germany's right at that borderline to be an S tier. If they instead of the U-boat as their special unit, and it was instead like the Tiger tank, that is a really powerful tank and replaces like the armor. I would put them clearly in S tier in that case because that would have huge utility for a domination victory.
Yeah, I actually agree with you there. Okay.
I think that they're S tier because getting an extra district for all your cities is huge.
Yes.
I think they're S tier because their building is a production in crazy hard like their special building is a workshop, which a workshop is like, that's one of the biggest buildings in the game. Like your production is very important for everything. And their ability with city states, I believe they
+5
basically can annihilate city states. You're starting off where you're actively gaining a bunch of extra cities. You're shutting your rivals off from potential resources because you're just going to cut them off. You're not playing a game where you're caring about Caesarians or anything like that. I think the U-boat thing is just they had to do that because otherwise then it would just be unbalanced if they had, oh, you also get this great tank.
It's amazing how they forgot that for Simon Bolivar then, huh?
We'll see with Bolivar, because still even with Bolivar, it's based, that +1 movement, yeah, it's useful the whole way through, but it's based on military units. City construction's a different story. So, the German player is going to find that their cities are just very, very prosperous and pumping out whatever they need to do. And I think that's what's their versatility, where Simon or, Gran Colombia kind of gets pigeonholed a bit. You're going to, you gotta go military. You're going to go military, or, maybe you go religion because of that +1 movement. Your guys are moving a bit faster. Germany doesn't get pigeonholed. They can do anything. They can do culture. They could do domination. They could do religion. They can do any of them. They're not disadvantaged in any given one. And I think that's what you need to look at for S tier is like, well, is there a win condition that they're not good at? And there's not. It's up to the German what they want to focus on.
To be fair, I would argue that Simon Bolivar doesn't have a win condition that they're bad at particularly either, though. Right?
I think their abilities are aligned to military and maybe religion. I don't think their abilities are aligned to they're not for production, and production's critical for things like science and culture victory. I think that they're very good at what they do.
I know their tile bonus gives them production.
Their tile bonus is production and gold, and it's not bad, but you're getting it mid game.
Yeah, it's
Germany is turn 1. They got this. They have these abilities they can do.
I don't disagree with it. I put them right at that border. And again, maybe we are jumping the gun with Simon Bolivar a little bit because he's a new one and we don't have as much experience with that new civilization. I know S tier for me is like God tier, right? Like where that's why and that's the thing, right? Everyone has different measurements of what they would consider each tier, right? Part of my math is everything that's given to me for the civilization useful? Because if it's not, then what? Then it's another avenue that we're missing. Meaning, why do I get a useless unit and the Romans get the legions, right? Kind of thing. And so, that's the way. And I don't disagree with the S tier thing at all. I think that's justifiable 100%.
You got to look at the timing sometimes.
Timing
with when you get your special unit. Okay, so sometimes with a special unit, it's not just about how useful it is. It could be that this is a time when you have a better chance of having a golden era, right? And I look at that. When am I building? Because when you build your special unit, you're getting +4 era points, right off the bat. So for the Germans, I think their special building as well is a factory it replaces, right?
It's the industrial zone. It replaces the industrial zone. The Hansa.
The Hansa. Yeah. So I think that suggests that on top of all of Germany's advantages, when you get to the industrial era, they have a higher chance of having a golden age. So I think timing is important for things like that.
But why does that? If I'm timed for the industrial age for a golden age, right, versus like the classical era, why would that separate me into S tier versus A tier, right?
I just think it's something you have to look at is the timing of when are they likely? So the Germans, I think, are in a position where very likely they're probably hitting their ages. They're probably going to be their cities are going to be good at building wonders. Their cities are going to be good at.
The counter argument I would make is the farther along the game you go, the harder it is to hit that golden age because there's more error points you need. And the amount of error points you get per the special unit is stagnant.
Yeah.
You get 4 no matter what era it's in. And so having a special unit like in the classical era almost simply guarantees that era becomes your golden age.
It increases the likelihood that that's going to be a golden age. And, a golden age in the classical era versus medieval era versus industrial era, those are all very, very different, right? For the because by the industrial era, you've got an established civilization. So if you're if your golden age if you do get a golden age there, it's going to be really important. So I don't know. I just think sometimes the timing of it is, that when you do have these civs that get the later one,
and that's why the game is super complicated, because on the other side too, you may have an established civilization when you have a golden age, but like you said, things snowball, right? The farther I get out in the early game, the farther ahead I get out, the more I can
Sure.
press that advantage for the rest of the game, right?
Sure, but the Germans' capacity to build that extra district, I just think it's a consistent. All of their cities are going to be very prosperous. They're going to have extra great people.
Yeah. Like I said, I think this is an argument without a point anyway, because I think that your designation is justifiable, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't really there yet to say S tier, and so I don't think there's any disagreement on that. I think they can be S tier. I just can't get over the fact that I don't. Maybe I'm just upset because I don't get to build tiger tanks, right? But that
I don't know if any civilization's special unit is a tank.
No, I don't think so either.
So I will be the deciding vote here, since you guys are kind of split. You guys have both really good arguments, and Chad agrees with you that you both have really good arguments. But I do think that the +1 district and the Hansa are super strong. Because of that, I will have to put them at S tier, but I do agree that they're borderline like AS, and like they can also change. So, like Germany, I'm not sure on, and like Maya, I'm not sure on, but for now, I'm gonna put them at S tier.
But Bully for You says F tier because it isn't Hitler or Bismarck.
Well, whatever. All right, I don't think they're gonna put Hitler as a leader.
Man, well, Bismarck's a good one though. Bismarck was the leader in the previous game,
Civ
right?
5, yeah, he was. He was different.
Yeah, but Bully, don't hate on Frederick. He's good.
Yeah, he's the holy god. He was the holy emperor. Come on, man. He led the crusade, the third crusade, didn't he? I think, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I don't know history that much. I think he led a crusade, but I could be wrong. I could have read some other thing. But that's all the time we have for the Civ Show. Not the podcast, but the tier list, the Civ Show tier list. We're going to continue this on the next podcast as well. We're going to take a little bit of a break, and we're going to get into what to expect on the next Civ Show on Sunday. We're going to reveal who we're playing and the theme that we will be playing as well. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Civ Show Podcast. Remember, we suck so you don't have to. I'm Moy Sauce, and I have Raising Zozo and Nystagmus here with me. We're proud to announce what our next Civ Show theme and leaders are going to be. And I have a little bit of a scene to give you guys, a little bit of a tease of what it's going to be. It's been the exact same as the title screen here, and we're going to start from the very left, and it is going to be who Moy Sauce plays. And who do we got for Moy Sauce? It's Macedonia!
Wow.
That's right. I will be playing Alexander the Great of Macedonia. If I quickly go and Google what they are so that I can announce to my fellow showmates that they should probably Google who they're playing right now so they can explain what they do.
Already got it loaded.
Got great right on you, buddy. I'm just the one that's slacking right now. So if I look at Alexander the Great, they are leader of Macedonia. Macedonian cities never incur war weariness, and all military units heal completely when a city with a wonder is captured. That, I played one practice game, is insane. It's absolutely insane. I was on one side of the territory that was killing barbarians, and then I had to come back to kill another city. I was killing a city, and since I knew that heal was coming, I didn't even have to bother to heal the units that were killing the barbarians. I sent them straight to another city. I captured the city. They all healed, and they were fully ready to go for the next one. It is an incredible ability and something that I'm very excited to use. I don't know if your guys are going to be building any wonders this game, but if you do, beware that you may have a target on your back. I believe you mute on that scene. What? Oh, I didn't have my mic. Shoot. Okay, fine. I'll fix that. But
Amateur.
I know. So why don't I'm gonna fix that. Zoe, can you take
Sure.
over who you
Sure.
are going to play on
So I know
the
know
next
last
civilization? So go ahead.
Yes, I know last week at the end of the game, we said we announced like all women or something like that, but we'd actually already done that. So we traded it up a bit, and there is a theme between these three guys. But my Civ is the mighty Ottoman Empire with his lordship Suleiman leading us, not to be confused with Sauron, but equally as impressive. And actually, Suleiman and Solomon do have a lot in common, and I think the main thing they have in common is their love of the black powder. So the
Thank God it's not the
Ottoman
white powder. At least,
civilization,
how could that'd be weird?
maybe. So the Ottoman Empire has an ability called the Great Turkish Bombard. As many of you may know, the Ottoman Empire is responsible for the sacking of Constantinople, which was once Istanbul, but now it's Constantinople. That's nobody's business but the Turks, to quote a famous song. And they love their cannons. So they receive their siege units 50% faster. Okay, so they train them 50% faster. Big deal. And it gives them a +5 combat strength against district defenses. So those catapults right off the bat.
You get them at catapults? They replace the catapult?
It's siege units. Catapult's a siege unit, is it not?
Yeah, but what's their special unit?
I haven't gotten to their special unit, have I?
I'm still
describing the Great Turkish Bombard as
it's the Bombard.
Beyond that, I'm not done.
Oh my gosh.
There's more. So first of all, +50% production towards all their siege units, +5 strength against districts. Big deal, good for sieging cities. In addition, cities the Ottomans conquer, we have another conquer bonus, do not lose population and receive a +1 amenity and +4 loyalty per turn.
Whoa.
So they not only do conquering cities not get weakened, they grow happier and they welcome their Ottoman liberators.
That plus loyalty
as they march
is
forward.
huge. Are you kidding?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So +4 loyalty for conquering cities. So they are a civ that wants to build an empire through you. So I do look forward to meeting the Macedonians and the secret other civ that we haven't introduced yet. So that's the Ottomans' the Great Turkish Bombard. So they're actually, I think, one of the only civs that focuses big time on siege. Like there are civs that get some siege, but that's a big deal, and that's throughout the game. That 50% bonus to their siege units. Their special unit is the Great Barbary Corsair. Okay, this is a boat that replaces the privateer. Okay, so you're getting it, and you get it with medieval fares. So I think the privateer is mercantile-ism. So yep. Medieval fares a bit different. I think a little bit earlier.
It's in the medieval era.
It is early era. Yeah, it is a medieval boat, but it is a good boat. It is invisible except to city centers, encampments, destroyers, and other naval raider units, and units that are adjacent to it. So you got your same privateer. It ignores zone of control from units and cities. I believe that's a privateer ability.
It is a privateer ability, yeah.
And it can perform the coastal raid. Now it has, for its special abilities, that uses no movement for performing coastal raids. So as I understand that, Normally, when you get beside a coast, it takes to do a raid or whatever. It's 2 movement, or
I think it's 3
movement or whatever. They don't have that at all. And then they also have a lower production. So they are 240 instead of the 280 to produce, and they also are cheaper. They only cost 3 instead of 4. It's not like a super amazing thing, but anytime you get a boat is interesting. The medieval fairs is not too far along, and it's on your way to exploration, so that's interesting. You know what? To be truthful, I don't do a lot of coastal raiding. I'm gonna do it more this game.
It's good
to see what
I
what
played
it's all
Norway.
about.
It's really good. I will tell you that right now.
I look forward to it, and I think the attack of 50 is probably the same as the privateer.
Yes.
Same attack, yeah. It has the same attack, same range. It's just about 25% cheaper. So it's a decent unit. Whenever I see a unit that's not like amazing for a civilization, it makes me actually a little excited, because I usually find their other abilities, like Germany, they outweigh it.
So can you
that is
quickly
the
talk about
Barbary
their
Corsair.
unique person?
I will. I'll talk about Solomon in a moment. But at first I need to talk about their infrastructure. Leaders go last. Moy, are you new to the Civ Show? I know, Moy, what you really wanted to know about is the Grand Bazaar, and Nystagmus especially wants to know about the Grand Bazaar. Am I right? Yeah, I'm right. So this is a unique unit, unique New York, that replaces the bank. Okay.
Oh, your favorite.
So
Oh my gosh.
I love the money. So it
Goblin.
replaces the bank, and it has some pretty neat effects. So your base bank gives you 5 gold, a citizen, and a merchant point. This bank still gives you 5 gold, still gives you the citizen slot, and still gives you the merchant point. However, it is significantly cheaper. It only costs 220 to build, versus 290. So that's that's a decent 70 production difference. You accumulate 1 extra strategic resource for every different type of strategic resource this city has improved. So in that city, all of them, you're making an extra 1 per turn, which is, I think, very useful. And you receive 1 amenity for every luxury resource this city has improved.
Jesus
So you get your
Christ.
regular amenity bonus, okay, and then this one, so if you have 3, it gets +3. So this is a bank that makes people super happy, which means that I'm getting sustaining a higher population. I'm looking forward to this, and the strategic resource thing, I think will actually be really important too. So yeah, Grand Bazaar, very good. And finally, the Grand Wizard himself, the Great White Wizard Suleiman. Suleiman, behold, this is my banner. Anyone who loves me will follow me. I think this is very, very true of Suleiman, of the Ottomans in general. And this is where the Ottomans are an anomaly. And I love civs like this that have just a really weird ability that's not like anything that anyone else has. It's not like a glorified bank. No. His ability, Suleiman the Magnificent, Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, has a Grand Vizier. And a Grand Vizier is a governor. So normally there are 8 governors in the game. Well, the Ottomans get a 9th governor. Okay, so that's crazy. So this is Abraham, the Grand Vizier. So he's his own category of governor, who is only available for the Ottoman Empire, which means as a governor, that's a list of like, what? Governors have like 6 abilities, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So his base one. So he is kind of he's a diplomat, military guy. So his default base one is the Pasha, plus 20% production to all military units in the city. So his base thing is that he's building those units faster. Then his tier 1, so you get to choose between one of his tier 1. He has 2. One is the head falconer. Okay, obviously Ottomans got falcons, right? Obviously. So the head falconer is all friendly units fighting within the city's territory gain plus 5 strength. Okay, nice defensive ability. And then he has the Sarasker. Grants all units within 10 tiles of the city center plus 10 strength when attacking defensive districts. So this governor is great to set up during a siege of an enemy empire. You're right. I would take over a building, or it'd be on one on the fringes, and then within 10 tiles, I'm getting plus 10 to attack city districts. So when you add the siege bonus, that is a plus 15 to oppose your districts, which I believe city walls are considered a district.
Yeah, I think so too.
So because of the town. So yeah. That's pretty awesome if you're on the offensive. Continuing down, tier 2, we get to the Kas Urabashi. So the Kas Urabashi, when established, so you need head falconer for this one. When established in an allied foreign capital, alliance leveling rate is increased with the owner.
Wait, so you can put him in a enemy city?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. As I read, I said all friendly units within the city's territory get these bonuses. Okay. So you can send him ahead to an ally. So you can send him to support an ally. And that is going to increase your alliance level by 1. This is the diplomatic side of him, which is pretty cool. His other tier 2 is the Kapu Aga, and when established in a foreign capital, grievances from the city's owner against you are reduced by 1 per turn. So you can put them into an enemy city that maybe, this is probably more useful against a computer than against a human, I admit that.
Yeah.
But you can put them into an enemy city, and he will slowly plead your case. Oh, we Ottomans are not so bad, are we? And over time, they agree. And then finally, his last level, best promotion name, the Grand Vizier. So this is when he truly becomes the Grand Vizier. When established in a foreign capital, none of the owner's cities exert loyalty pressure on your cities.
Such a counter to Illinois.
So you throw them in there, and now I don't need to worry. So I'm conquering your cities. Okay, we've declared peace. I'm keeping these cities, and I'm going to send him to your capital to make sure that we all get along. So the Grand Vizier gives the Ottomans just like, it brings it full circle. They are this amazing military diplomatic civ, and you don't usually see that. Like, you're either one or the other, right? You're either a Canada or a Macedonia. They are both. They are war and peace. They're able to go and conquer, then they're able to keep. Their siege weapon bonus is their Great Bombard, means I'm getting through your defenses. And if I use the Grand Vizier well, which means I'm probably going to have high culture when I play them, because I want to have as many governor points as I can. So I'll probably make sure I have a decent. I might even care a little bit more about culture than science. Once I get my catapults like I'll be good with swordsman or whatever. So this should be really, really interesting. It's a very well-rounded civilization that is obviously much more on the war side than anything. But because they're able to manipulate during peace, not to mention they're great to have as an ally. I could be wrong, but when I read all friendly units, I think that means if an ally counts as friendly, right?
Possibly.
I think maybe
We'll
have to
it might also mean more like if you're a suzerain of a city-state in those units.
Maybe.
Both.
Either way, they push the front. They're able to push to the front line.
Mm-hmm. They're always pushing
and then,
forward. Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah, and then that they have the their boat is interesting too. It adds an interesting level. I'll be stealing gold from people. So yeah, I think good money, good military, good diplomacy. This is going to be a very interesting civilization to play.
All right, and lastly, we have one of the best civilizations. All three of these are really great civilizations, by the way, but one of the best civilizations in the game subjectively, and that is the Persians.
Yes, so I will be taking a realm of Cyrus the Great under the Persian Empire, leading his legions of immortals to victory. So this is one civilization that I don't really play the two different main ways that you win with them, which is, and first of all, we're all warmongers here apparently with all these civilizations we chose, with that or culture. So civilization ability is the Satrapies. So basically the Persians gain one extra trade route capacity when they get political philosophy. Domestic trade routes all provide +2 gold and +1 culture.
What?
And roads, and all roads built inside Persian territory are one level more advanced than usual. So really kind of like along lines of also like the Roman Empire, Persian Empire is actually also known for building tons of roads across its vast territory.
Oh, I can't wait to hear all about that when we play.
So the special unit that they have is the famed Immortals. They replace the Swordsmen, but they are also not really truly melee units. They are melee units and they are ranged units because the Immortals were an elite group of soldiers that also were trained with the short bow. So they can actually fire with the short bow, so they can use their ranged attack or they can use their melee attack.
Yeah,
now,
they can do either or, right?
Yeah.
Oh my
now,
gosh.
granted, that comes with a cost. So their melee attack isn't as strong as the standard swordsman, 30 strength versus 36. But they have the extra flexibility. It means I don't have to build archers. I can just build my special immortals, and they can be the ranged unit that defends my city, as opposed to having to build archers and swordsmen. So they have that ability. With that. Now they are a little bit more expensive production-wise, and they do have that -17 range strength versus districts and naval units, but that's like most other range.
That's
range, archers, all archers.
Not as concerned about that. And so that's the special unit for them, and then their special unit tile is called.
Can I comment just briefly there, Nystagmus? This is a fantastic unit, probably one of the best units in the game, the Immortal. Just because the time you get it relatively early. It's very, very versatile. I've always found in the past when people have them, like they're immortals, like they will end up having very high levels. The one thing that's kind of crappy about them is the requirement of iron. If they had all of this stuff and didn't specifically need iron, so that's the one crappy thing with Persia is if you don't get that iron, and that happens, right, where you won't get the iron that you need, especially if you're playing on a tiny map. That could be a really big setback because that is one of their biggest abilities.
Same weakness that the Romans get with the legions, right? You need iron for that
same
too.
sort of thing. They're also really good at getting Drekken to quit the game. Special ability they have.
So their special tile ability is called the Paradisia. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but
sounds right.
It's a tile improvement that you can build almost anywhere except for tundra and snow tiles, and you can't just build them next to each other. So you can't build two paradises next to each other. Now it provides +1 culture, +2 gold, and +2 appeal to where it's built. Now you get a +1 culture for every adjacent holy site and theater square. You also get +1 gold for every adjacent commercial hub or city center. and then you get +1 culture if once you get research diplomatic service. And so it can potentially provide +2 culture just by itself.
If you plan this out right, it could.
Yeah,
it could
these sorts of
really-
buildings are very interesting for late game. I was just saying, like, sorry, you're probably going to say that more. That for neighborhoods,
Not necessarily.
Like that's a
though.
big deal. Well, it's
No,
a
that's
+2 appeal.
that wasn't what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something else.
Oh, okay,
Right.
go for it.
Now, the last thing, which is the leader bonus, so that's Cyrus the Great. So the fall of Babylon is his leader bonus. So +2 movement is awarded to all units for 10 turns after declaring a surprise war. Surprise wars count as formal wars for
my
warmongering
God.
penalties and war weariness. And occupied cities do not suffer any yield penalties. So all civilizations that we're playing next week appear to give, hey, don't worry, man. There's no consequence to going to war for anybody, right? You don't have to worry about loyalty in cities or yields or movement or war weariness or warmongering. Just do it, man. Everyone, just have a good old time. So
Battle of Empires.
basically, we're and historically there are two empires here that fought each other in real life, which is the Macedonians and the Persian Empire. Now, granted, Alexander the Great did not take on the Persian Empire at its height under the Cyrus the Great, but did fight the Persian Empire. It's the same empire that he fought.
The
He
stag
defeated that.
save some of it for Sunday, man.
Yeah. So
but that's
I want to go back to the unique tile, the Paradisia. So if you plan your city really correctly, and then you also take the Pantheon that gives you +2 faith for if it's a breathtaking appeal, this tile could be crazy, right? If you put it between a holy site and a theater square, it's +3 total culture, so, right? The +1 and then +2 for being between them. And then also if you put it between, at the same time, a commercial hub in your city centers, which you can do. This is not a hard thing to do. You get +4 gold. So you can get +3 culture, +4 gold, +2 faith if it's breathtaking, which it gives you +2 appeal as well. So it's very likely.
So in my
Because
practice
this thing's
game,
crazy.
in my practice game, I think I got up to 400 and something gold per turn.
Wow. Yeah, that's insane. This thing's pretty good. Okay. Anyway, continue on if you weren't done.
Oh no, I was just kind of adding into the atmosphere of the theme was, ancient empires, right? And so we have the Persians, we have the Macedonians, and we have Ottomans. Although Ottomans are a little bit later on, they didn't actually meet the other two empires, but they're still a fantastic historical empire to learn about too.
We have 3 fantastic civilizations that are going to clash on Sunday. It's going to be the rise and fall, get it, of the empires is what it's going to be. There's going to be only one. It can only be one great empire. And who is it going to be? Is it going to be Moisos with Alexander the Great and the Macedonians? Is it going to be raising Zozo with the Ottomans and Suleiman? Or is it going to be Nystagmus with Cyrus and the Great Persian Empire? We'll find out on Sunday on the Civ Show at 7
We also
p.m.
wanna-
Eastern Time. What?
Did we want to mention the map we're going to play on as well? I don't think we mentioned that.
I guess we should also mention the map. Zoe, go ahead since you chose the map.
Sure. We had Moy chose the format, and Nystagmus got to choose the first Civ. So I got to choose the map as sort of the way that we go about it. And I chose an inland sea. So the inland sea map is interesting because I don't believe it's circular, so I don't think you can go around it. I think it has an actual edge, right? With a big ocean in the middle. So there, we'll all have access to that ocean, I'm sure, but it'll be like, definitely, I think we'll get the feel for empires, having our own regions, but there'll also be room for some fun naval battles. So we are going to be doing an inland sea, almost like fighting around the Mediterranean or the Balkans or, something like that. Take your Gulf.
Take your golf. All right, so yeah, we're gonna be playing on the Inland Sea map. It's gonna be a super bloody, super exciting. This may be a long game because there's gonna be a lot of war, so it might take 2, possibly 3 sessions for us to finish this game. But that's okay because it's gonna be a very entertaining one. There was no conflict in our last Civ show. There's gonna be a lot of conflict in this one for sure. We're also gonna be playing on a dual map, so we're gonna be playing on a map that is curated for 2 players, but we're gonna be playing 3 people on it to just kind of influence that conflict as well. There's gonna be territorial clash and there's gonna be expansion just due to war. So we're very, very excited for that to happen, and it's gonna all happen on Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Give us a follow on Twitch at TheCivShow, twitch.tv /TheCivShow. You can also follow us on Twitter at TheCivShow, and you can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram again at TheCivShow. Gentlemen, do you have any final words before we leave tonight?
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. If you're not there, you'd better be dead. No, I don't have it.
I just want to say that. No, you're done. I just want to say that my leader is called Alexander the Great. All right, we're gonna sign off. I'll see you.
My
guys.
name is Cyrus the Great, so whatever, man. It's cool.
Is he? I just know him as Cyrus. That's the shame. I'll see you guys on Sunday. All right, see you later, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Solomon the Magnificent.